Right, so let's get straight into it. You hear a lot in the news, don't you? A lot of noise about faith and what it means to people in Britain today. But if you cut through all that, there's a really interesting story unfolding, almost quietly, in communities all over the UK. Islam is now one of the fastest growing religions here. And what's really caught my attention is who is at the heart of this trend. It's not what you might expect. The numbers show that women, particularly young women, are one of the fastest growing groups of new converts. So what's going on? What is it about Islam that's resonating so deeply with women from all sorts of backgrounds, women born and bred here, who have grown up with a completely different set of cultural norms? It's easy to look from the outside and make assumptions, but that's not what we're about. We want to understand, to get underneath the surface of the headlines and the stereotypes. What are they searching for? What are they finding? In this video, we're going to have a proper look. We're going to explore the top reasons why women in the UK are choosing to embrace Islam. We'll be looking at everything from the search for spiritual peace to the appeal of a strong, supportive community. It's a complex picture, and it's a personal one for every woman who makes this journey. So let's try and understand it together, shall we? For so many people I've spoken to over the years, there's this feeling, isn't there? A sort of background hum of dissatisfaction. Life is busy, it's noisy, it's full of distractions. But underneath it all, there's a question. Is this it? Many women I've met describe a kind of spiritual void, a longing for something more than just the day-to-day grind. They're looking for answers to the big questions, a sense of purpose that feels real and lasting. It's a search for a connection that goes deeper than what they can find on a screen or in a shop. This is where, for many, Islam enters the picture. They tell me it offers a very direct and personal relationship with God or Allah. There aren't any intermediaries, no priests or saints you have to go through. It's just you and your Creator. The idea of Tawheed, the absolute oneness of God, provides a central unifying concept that brings a sense of order to a chaotic world. It's this clarity, this simplicity that they find incredibly powerful. It cuts through the noise and offers a solid foundation to build a life on. The 5 daily prayers, or salah, become a crucial part of this. It's not seen as a chore, but as a lifeline. Imagine pausing your day, stepping away from the emails and the deadlines, and just reconnecting with your spiritual core. These women describe it as a reset button, a moment of profound peace in an otherwise hectic schedule. It's a chance to be mindful, to express gratitude, and to recenter yourself on what truly matters. This ritual provides a structure for their day that is anchored in something much bigger than themselves. This search for inner peace is a powerful motivator. In a society that often pushes external validation, how you look, what you own, how many likes you get, Islam seems to offer an internal source of worth. The focus is on your inner state, your intentions, your personal struggle to be a better person. It's about finding contentment not from the outside world, but from within. This shift in perspective can be life-changing, offering a sense of calm and stability that many feel is missing from modern Western life. Ultimately, it comes down to finding a narrative that makes sense of their existence. They're seeking a framework that gives their life meaning beyond the material. The teachings on God's mercy and guidance resonate deeply, providing comfort and hope. It's the belief that they are not just randomly adrift in the universe, but are part of a divine plan. For these women, embracing Islam isn't about losing themselves, it's about finally finding themselves in a much larger, more meaningful story. Now let's tackle a big one. When people in the West think about women in Islam, the word empowerment probably isn't the first thing that springs to mind. The narrative we see so often is one of oppression, of silence, of being controlled. But when you actually sit down and talk to female converts, you hear a completely different story. They tell you that they've never felt more empowered, more respected, or more in control of their own lives than they do as Muslim women. It's a massive contradiction to the stereotype, and we need to understand why. What they find in the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad are principles of profound spiritual equality. They learn that in the eyes of God, a man and a woman are judged by the same standard, their piety and their actions. Your gender doesn't make you spiritually superior or inferior. This is a revolutionary idea for many, especially those who have felt judged or devalued in a society that can often place so much emphasis on superficial qualities. They feel seen for their character, not their appearance. This sense of empowerment extends to their rights. Many are surprised to learn that over 1,400 years ago, Islam granted women rights that were unheard of in many parts of the world until much more recently. The right to own property, to inherit, to run a business, to seek an education, and the right to consent in marriage. For these women, discovering this history is eye-opening. They see it not as a faith that restricts them, but as one that secured their status and protected their autonomy long before modern feminist movements. Of course, they're not naive. They see the cultural practices in some countries that do oppress women, but they are very clear at separating culture from faith. They see those practices as a distortion of the true teachings, not a reflection of them. They feel empowered to learn the faith for themselves, to read the sources, and to reclaim the narrative. They don't need a Western savior. They believe the tools for their own liberation are already embedded within their religion. It's an intellectual and spiritual awakening. So when they talk about empowerment, it's not just about rights on paper, it's a deeper internal shift. It's the confidence that comes from knowing your worth is God-given, not granted by society. It's the freedom from the constant pressure to conform to ever-changing beauty standards. It's the strength they find in defining their own identity on their own terms, guided by their faith. For them, Islam isn't the cage the media often portrays. It's the key that unlocks a different, more profound kind of freedom. We're social creatures, aren't we? We all want to belong somewhere. In our modern world, with families scattered and communities often feeling disconnected, loneliness has become a silent epidemic. People can be surrounded by millions but feel completely on their own. Many women I've spoken to describe feeling adrift, looking for a place where they are not just tolerated, but truly welcomed and valued for who they are. This is where the concept of the Ummah, the global Islamic community, becomes incredibly appealing. It's more than just a word. It's a lived reality. When a woman takes her shahada, her declaration of faith, she is instantly welcomed into a global family of billions. Suddenly, she has sisters in every corner of the world. This sense of instant kinship is powerful. Women who felt isolated find themselves surrounded by a network of support, ready to help them navigate their new journey. The local mosque or community center becomes a hub for this. It's not just a place for prayer, it's a social lifeline. They find women from all walks of life, doctors, teachers, stay-at-home moms, students, all united by their shared faith. They share meals, celebrate festivals, support each other through difficult times, and share in each other's joys. For someone who maybe didn't have a strong family network, this provides an incredible sense of stability and belonging. It's a ready-made support system. This sisterhood, as they often call it, is a massive draw. It transcends race, class, and nationality. They share a common language of faith and a set of shared values that creates a deep and immediate understanding. They help each other with learning to pray, with wearing the hijab if they choose to, and with navigating the challenges that can come from family or friends who don't understand their choice. It's this practical, day-to-day support that makes all the difference. It's having someone to call when you're feeling down, someone to celebrate Eid with, someone who understands the spiritual highs and lows of your journey. The Ummah provides a safety net, a sense of being part of something much larger than yourself. In a world that can feel incredibly isolating, the promise of finding a genuine, supportive, and diverse family is a reason many women find their home in Islam. There's a growing sense of unease with the way things are, isn't there? A feeling that our society's priorities are a bit skewed. The constant pressure to consume, the focus on individual gain over collective good, the superficiality of it all. Many women are looking for a way of life that feels more authentic, more meaningful. They're drawn to principles that champion fairness, compassion, and looking out for one another. They want to be part of a solution, not part of the problem. Islam's strong emphasis on social justice is a massive pull for these women. The concept of zakat, the obligatory charity, isn't just a suggestion, it's one of the 5 pillars of the faith. It's a built-in mechanism for wealth redistribution, a system designed to ensure that the most vulnerable in society are cared for. This commitment to tackling poverty and inequality resonates deeply with women who have a strong sense of fairness and want their faith to be reflected in tangible action in the world. Then there's the idea of modesty, or haya. Now, this is a concept that is hugely misunderstood in the West, and it's almost always reduced to just the hijab. But for the women embracing Islam, it's so much more than a piece of cloth, encompassing modesty in speech, behavior, and character, as well as dress. It's about guarding yourself from arrogance, vanity, and superficiality. It's an internal state of being. For many women, choosing to dress modestly is an act of liberation. Modesty offers a way out. It's a way of saying, my worth is not based on my physical appearance. You will engage with my mind, my intellect, my character, not my body. They feel it allows them to reclaim their autonomy and dictate how they are perceived by the world, promoting a different kind of respect. This rejection of hypersexualization and consumer culture is a conscious choice. They see modesty not as a restriction, but as a protection from the relentless pressures of a society that often reduces a woman's value to her sex appeal. It's a way of moving through the world with a sense of dignity and self-possession. By embracing these values of social justice and modesty, these women feel they are aligning their lives with a higher purpose, one that prioritizes community, compassion, and inner worth over materialism and vanity. Sometimes, a major life change doesn't start with a book or a lecture. It starts with a person. It can be a conversation with a colleague, a friendship with a neighbor, or just observing someone from afar. For many women who convert to Islam, the journey begins with a personal encounter. They meet a Muslim woman who completely shatters their preconceived notions. They see someone who is intelligent, kind, happy, and living a fulfilling life, and it makes them curious. These positive role models are incredibly powerful. In a media landscape that often paints Muslim women with a single, broad, and often negative brush, seeing a real-life counterexample can be a catalyst for change. They see a Muslim doctor who is compassionate, a Muslim friend who is a great listener, or a Muslim public figure who speaks with eloquence and confidence. These encounters force them to question the stereotypes they've absorbed and to wonder what it is about this faith that shapes such admirable characters. The experience is often very organic. It's not about being preached at or pressured. It's about seeing the faith in action. It's seeing a friend's devotion during Ramadan, witnessing their generosity, or feeling the warmth and hospitality when invited into their home. These small, everyday interactions demystify the religion. Islam stops being a scary, foreign other and becomes a living, breathing reality embodied by someone they know and respect. That human connection makes all the difference. This is particularly true on university campuses and in diverse workplaces where people from different backgrounds naturally mix. A non-Muslim woman might become friends with a group of Muslim women and be drawn to their sense of sisterhood, their shared values, and their outlook on life. She sees a community that is supportive and a faith that provides them with a clear sense of purpose and peace. It's an attraction by example, not by proselytization. Ultimately, seeing is believing. When a woman sees another woman, someone she can relate to, thriving within Islam, it makes the path seem possible for her too. It gives her a tangible example to look up to and shows her that being a modern, educated British woman and a devout Muslim are not mutually exclusive. These personal encounters and positive role models act as a bridge, inviting women to take a closer look and discover the beauty of the faith for themselves. Life in the 21st century can feel a bit structureless. The traditional markers of life are fading for some, and the sheer number of choices we face every day can be overwhelming rather than liberating. What should I do with my life? What do I believe in? How should I spend my time? For some, this endless freedom can lead to a sense of drift, a lack of direction and discipline. It's in this context that some women find themselves craving a framework, a routine that gives their days shape and their lives purpose. Islam offers a very clear and structured way of life. It's not just a set of beliefs you think about once a week, it's woven into the very fabric of your day. The 5 daily prayers, for example, act as spiritual signposts from dawn until night. They provide a rhythm and a discipline that many find incredibly grounding. Instead of the day being one long, amorphous block of time, it's punctuated by moments of reflection and connection with God. This ritual provides a sense of order and stability. This structure extends beyond just prayer. There are clear guidelines on diet, halal, on financial dealings like avoiding interest, on how to treat others, and on personal conduct. For some, this isn't restrictive, it's a relief. It removes the guesswork and a great deal of anxiety. Instead of having to constantly reinvent the wheel and decide on your own moral code from scratch, you are given a comprehensive, time-tested blueprint for living a good and ethical life. It provides clarity in a world of moral ambiguity. The annual cycle is also given a powerful rhythm by events like Ramadan. The month of fasting is an intense period of spiritual discipline, self-control, and community focus. It's a challenge, but one that women describe as being incredibly rewarding and purifying. It breaks the monotony of the year and provides an opportunity for a major spiritual reset. This desire for discipline isn't about self-punishment. It's about self-improvement. It's the same impulse that might lead someone to train for a marathon or learn a new skill. This built-in discipline provides a sense of purpose and accomplishment. By striving to live by these principles, women feel they are actively working towards a goal, constantly trying to better themselves for the sake of God. It gives their actions, even the small ones, a sense of significance. In a world that can often feel purposeless, Islam provides a clear path and a noble objective: to live a life that is pleasing to the Creator. For many, this structure isn't a cage, but a trellis that allows them to grow. So, turn on the TV, scroll through social media, or, just walk down any high street. What are you constantly being told? That you need more. You need the latest phone, the trendiest clothes, the perfect body. Our culture is just saturated with consumerism, this endless cycle of wanting, buying, and discarding. It promises happiness, but honestly, it so often leaves people feeling empty, anxious, and perpetually dissatisfied. There's a growing number of people, and women especially, who are actively looking for an escape from this treadmill. For these women, Islam presents a really powerful alternative. It offers a value system that is fundamentally at odds with materialism. The faith teaches that this worldly life is temporary, and that true wealth lies not in what you accumulate, but in your good deeds and your relationship with God. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. Emphasis on modesty and simplicity is a direct challenge to consumer culture. While the fashion industry thrives on rapid seasonal changes and encouraging dissatisfaction with what you wore last year, Islamic principles of dress encourage a more timeless and less ostentatious approach. But this isn't about being drab or uncaring about appearance. It's about shifting the focus. It's a conscious decision to opt out of the relentless cycle of trends and to find dignity and beauty in a different way. This rejection of consumerism is also about reclaiming time and mental energy. Just think about how much time and thought goes into shopping, chasing sales, and curating the perfect online image. By stepping back from all of this, women find they have more resources, more time, more money, more mental space to dedicate to things that offer deeper fulfillment: family, community, charity, and spiritual growth. It's really about investing in the permanent over the temporary. Ultimately, it's a search for authenticity. Many feel that Western consumerism often forces people to wear a mask, to project an image of success and happiness that doesn't reflect their inner reality. Islam encourages them to focus on their inner state, on sincerity and humility. It offers a refuge from the noise and pressure of the material world and a path to a more peaceful, purpose-driven life where your worth is defined by your character, not by your possessions. Not too long ago, if you were a woman in a small town in the UK and you became curious about Islam, what would you do? Your options were pretty limited. You'd have to find a mosque, which might be intimidating, or find a book in a library, which might be outdated or biased. The barriers to getting good, reliable information were high. This often meant that curiosity remained just that: curiosity. It was hard to take the next step. But now we live in a completely different world. The internet and social media have been a total game changer for women exploring the faith. You can watch lectures by respected scholars from all over the world, download translations of the Quran, read articles on specific topics, and listen to podcasts that answer the very questions you've been afraid to ask. This accessibility has blown the doors wide open. Social media in particular has created a new kind of virtual community. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok are filled with female converts sharing their personal stories. A woman in Manchester can watch a video by a revert in Texas and feel an instant connection. She can see someone just like her talking openly about her struggles, her moments of clarity, and the joy she's found. This makes the whole process feel less isolating and much more achievable. It's like having thousands of potential mentors at your fingertips. These online spaces also provide a safe environment for asking questions. Many women feel shy or intimidated about walking into a mosque and speaking to an imam, but online, they can join women-only forums or Facebook groups where they can ask anything, from the basics of how to pray to deep theological questions, without fear of judgment. This anonymous or semi-anonymous support network is crucial in the early stages of exploration, allowing them to learn at their own pace. So the digital age has effectively removed the gatekeepers. Information is no longer confined to specific physical locations or institutions. It has been democratized. This allows women to do their own research, to hear a wide range of perspectives, and to form their own educated opinion about the faith. This access to both information and a supportive online community is undoubtedly a major factor in why more women today feel empowered to explore and ultimately embrace Islam. Life has a funny way of leading us down paths we never expected, and one of the most powerful forces for change has always been love. For a number of British women, their introduction to Islam doesn't come from a book or a lecture, but from falling in love with and marrying a Muslim man. This isn't a case of being forced or pressured, as the old stereotype might suggest. More often than not, it's a journey of discovery that they choose to embark on themselves, driven by love and a desire for family unity. When a woman from a non-Muslim background enters into a serious relationship with a Muslim man, she is naturally introduced to his culture and his faith. She attends family gatherings for Eid, she sees him fasting during Ramadan, she hears the call to prayer from his phone. His faith is an integral part of who he is, and to understand him fully, she often becomes curious about this central aspect of his life. This curiosity is the seed from which a genuine personal interest can grow. The decision to convert in this context is often rooted in a desire to build a cohesive family unit with a shared spiritual foundation. These women think about their future children and want to raise them with a clear and unified set of values. They see the beauty in sharing the same beliefs and rituals as their partner, creating a deeper bond between them. It's about building a life together where faith is a source of unity, not a point of division. This path is not always easy. It can involve challenging conversations with her own family, who may not understand her choice. But for these women, the process of learning about Islam is a personal one. They start reading, asking questions, and often find that the teachings resonate with them on a personal level, independent of their relationship. They discover aspects of the faith, like the emphasis on family, respect for elders, and charity, that they deeply admire and want to incorporate into their own lives. So while the relationship might be the catalyst, the conversion itself becomes a sincere and personal spiritual journey. They are not just adopting their husband's religion, they are embracing it as their own. They find their own connection with God and their own place within the Muslim community. For these women, interfaith marriage becomes the doorway to a new spiritual identity, one that enriches their life and strengthens the foundations of their family. Let's be honest, the phrase women's rights in Islam can sound like a contradiction to many in the West. We're so used to seeing images and hearing stories that suggest the opposite. But for a significant number of female converts, a deep dive into what Islamic texts actually say about women is not a source of concern, but a source of profound empowerment. They discover a tradition that, in their eyes, has been misinterpreted and misrepresented both by outsiders and, at times, by insiders. One of the first things that often surprises them is the strong emphasis on a woman's right to education. They learn about the Prophet Muhammad's famous saying, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, with no distinction made between male and female." They read about the history of great female Islamic scholars like Aisha, the Prophet's wife, who was one of the most prolific narrators of hadith and a respected teacher. This historical precedent inspires them and counters the modern narrative that Islam holds women back intellectually. Then there's the matter of economic rights, which is a huge revelation for many. They learn that Islamic law granted women the right to own their own property and wealth 14 centuries ago. A woman's earnings are her own. She has no obligation to spend them on the household, and her husband has no claim to them. She has the right to inherit, to invest, and to run her own business. In a historical context where women in Europe were considered property of their husbands for centuries, this is seen as incredibly progressive and empowering. The marriage contract itself is viewed as a source of protection. A woman has the right to specify conditions in her marriage contract, and she must give her own consent for the marriage to be valid. She is also entitled to a mahr, a mandatory marriage gift from the groom that belongs to her exclusively. These aren't just cultural traditions, they are legally and religiously enshrined rights that are designed to protect her autonomy and financial security within the marriage. For these converts, learning about these rights is like peeling back layers of cultural baggage and political rhetoric to get to the core of the faith. They feel they are not submitting to a patriarchal system, but embracing a divine one that has honored and protected their rights from the very beginning. They feel empowered to reclaim this narrative, to educate others, and to live out a version of their faith that is true to its foundational principles of justice, equality, and dignity for women. So, we've looked at just 10 of the reasons women here in the UK are drawn to Islam, from finding a deep spiritual peace and a powerful sense of community, to feeling empowered by its teachings on justice and women's rights. It's clear that for many, this isn't a blind leap of faith. It's a considered, thoughtful, and often intellectual journey towards a life that feels more authentic and purpose-driven. They are finding answers, connection, and a sense of identity that resonates with them on a profound level. But, and this is important, it would be wrong to paint a picture that is only rosy. For many of these women, the path is not without its difficulties. Embracing Islam can mean facing misunderstanding or even rejection from family and old friends. It can mean navigating a new culture and new social norms, and it often means dealing with the prejudice and suspicion that comes from Islamophobia in wider society. It requires courage, resilience, and a huge amount of strength. It's a journey that comes with real challenges alongside its joys. Every woman's story is unique, and her reasons are deeply personal. This video is just a starting point, an attempt to understand a significant but often misunderstood trend in modern Britain. It's about listening to the voices of the women themselves. And that's where you come in. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're a woman who has embraced Islam, what was your reason? If you've considered it, what questions do you have? Share your experiences and perspectives respectfully in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation.